Welcome to the She's Got God podcast. I am your host, Amanda Bayerle, and I am doing my first ever just audio recording. I've been doing video and audio, but doing audio is so much easier, ladies. You know how it is when you have to get ready as a mom. You have to get fully ready, and then I have this whole setup that I have to create in my kitchen with the mic, the camera, the laptop, the lighting, all of it. And so it's just a lot goes into it. And so this is easier for me right now in this season. And that's something that I'm going to be talking about today. Every day you're learning something with the Lord, right? And I feel like right now, I'm learning from God to every day surrender my will to His and to really seek Him on what He wants me to do. So, as if you know my story, I got started in ministry and I love preaching the gospel. I love ministering. I love praying for people. I love prophesying. I love it all, right? And that is what we were doing, for years with going to ministry school and doing missions work. And then when my husband and I got married and, after our first year of marriage, it was kind of like, all right, what are we going to do for money? Like we got to work and we didn't want to be apart from each other. And we saw this need for all of these kids in our ministry school that wanted to go on missions trips and do, really hard things and like live in dumpsters and go without much food and showers and all these things all over the world, impoverished countries. And I'm like, all right, God, like these people are begging for money and they want to do your will, but they don't have the funds to do it. Like I want to be that person that can help fund those people. Like that's amazing. And so my husband and I both felt like that. And we both wanted to build something together. I do love giving. I love finances. I love like the concept of business. And so we got started in a network marketing company, which is just great to just learn about business if you don't want to start your own. Like it's so good just to like sell someone else's product and use their marketing materials, and you don't have to build out websites and hire a million lawyers. Like it's just so much easier to get started in business with doing network marketing. And so we got started in business and we felt called to that. We struggled though for years. Finally, we had success, after a while, and made millions and millions of dollars in that business, and recently just sold it. And then as, like time goes, I'm like seeking God, like, okay, God, like now I'm a mom. And for the first couple years of Kingston's life, like I just worked very part-time. I worked like when he slept or when I like had some help. And that's how I worked for years. And then I was like, okay, it's too hard. So we hired an au pair for a year to help out with Kingston when he was over 2. And I was able to, work on the business and stuff. And then it just kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, I would rather, like when I got pregnant with our baby girl, I was like, I don't really feel like I want to run the business anymore. Like I just don't feel like I'm called to do that. I feel like God's calling me into being like a full-time mom and to do like ministry stuff. And so that was, a conversation that I had to have with my husband of like, hey, we've built this business together for 8 years, 9 years. Like I don't feel like God's calling me to do this anymore. And He wants me to step out and really focus on the kids. Cause it's just when you're a mom, like I don't understand how moms can work from home with 2 kids because like you always have one with you. And even when the other one's like napping. So you never get a break, cause the other one, my other son, he doesn't nap anymore. So that is like what I felt like God was calling me to do. And my husband was like, okay, well, I feel like God's calling me into a new business. And so he started working as like a VP with this company out here in Arizona. And that's why we moved here. And that was really difficult because I was pregnant and like had the baby's nursery done in Texas, like thought I was going to live in Texas forever. And God was like, you need to submit to your husband and what he wants, like what God's calling him to do. And I'm like, okay, like I will do that. So we moved out here to Arizona. And, I really did become a full-time mom, like stepped out of the business. And it's been like amazing to see the fruit of that and just surrendering, like seeking God and what he really wants you to do, because you could be doing something that he has not called you to do. And you're wondering, like, why isn't God blessing me in this? And it's like, well, it's because that's not the thing you're supposed to do. So it just constantly seeking the Lord. But with that, like leaving ministry and then God calling us to business, like it's okay to want success in your life. And that's one of the things that I've like struggled with as a Christian in like the business world. And just as someone who's a very high achieving person, like my whole life, I was, hey, I want to get, all A's. I want to win. I want to be the best volleyball player. I want to be the best tennis player. Like just very ambitious and very hardworking. I had a lot of goals, a lot of dreams. I still do. I heard a sermon by Erwin McManus about how Buddhism has gotten into the church of like, you shouldn't have any dreams or have any aspirations. Like you should just be content. You should just be happy with what you have and not desire more and not have ambition. When in the Bible, when you look at people in the Old Testament and the New Testament, these people were extremely ambitious. They had so many goals. I'm reading in Joshua right now, like Joshua went and conquered every single king to take the promised land, like to take Israel. He conquered and like destroyed everyone. And it was war, like watch a war movie. It's like not nice. It's very like gruesome. And like that's what God called him to do, is to take all the land. And God was with him and blessed him. And so I just want to read some verses out of the Bible today, because the other day I'm like, all right, God, I know you want me to do this podcast. I know you want me to like do ministry stuff, but like I'm okay if like the podcast doesn't do well and no one listens and I'm very inconsistent with it and all this stuff. Like I've been downplaying it, and I felt like listening to this Christine Kane interview or the sermon she did. She was like, listen, I did not start ministry to not reach people and to like not get anyone saved. I didn't start my nonprofit so that no one could get rescued out of sex trafficking. Like I started these things to change the world. I started these things to change lives and to be extremely successful. Why would I want to start something so it could fail? Like, how is that okay? And the whole sermon was about godly ambition. And so for me as a mother right now, I'm trying to balance like, okay, I want to be an amazing mom to my children and be there for them and teach them. But I also have this thing inside of me where I'm like wanting to do this podcast and do social media and spread the gospel through online channels. And I feel like my thinking has been so wrong of like, oh, I don't care if like no one reads it and like no one is inspired by this and no one comes to know Jesus through this. Like I've been downplaying it, and I felt like God was like, Amanda, it is okay to have godly ambition. Like if you want to do this, which I believe he put this desire in my heart for a reason, like God gives us desires and passions, and that's his way of telling us what our calling is. Like we're going to have some sort of passion for the thing he wants us to do. Like most of the time you're not going to like absolutely hate it, but he gives you the grace and the ability and the power to do it. And so for me, I'm like, all right, God, I'm going to have godly ambition for the stuff he wants me to do. And so recently I've been doing it on my Instagram of just like, all right, God, like give me the creative ideas to grow my social media so that I can impact more people for you. And I've had so many videos recently go viral because I've just been like actually being like, I want this to be successful and I'm going to figure out the ways to do it, and just asking God for help and strategies. And so I've made all of these like funny Christian memes, and I've had like 10 videos go viral over the last like 2 weeks, and I've gained like over 1,000 followers, which for me, I have not tried to gain social media followers ever because I constantly was focusing on growing my husband's social media since he was the face of our business. And for years, I'm like, I don't even know what to post on my social media. Like, I don't even have anything to say because I didn't know how to write and speak in my own voice because I was always speaking in my husband's voice on his social media and emails and all of that. And so I'm like, all right, God, I want my social media to grow bigger so that I can impact more people, not out of a selfish, like, oh, this is how many followers I have, but it's like, it can be a direct reflection on making an impact in people's lives. And the bigger the reach, like the bigger the impact. Like, what is wrong with wanting to have, for someone like a pastor to have a large church? Like, there's been such a misconception and such a lie to people of like, you can't want a big audience, or you can't want a big church, or you can't want a big business because, well, that's greedy and whatever. It's like, no. In Joshua 1:9 or 1:8, it says, study this book of instruction continually. Meditate on it day and night, so you will be sure to obey everything written in it. Only then will you prosper and succeed in all you do. And so God wants us to prosper and succeed in all that we do, because when we obey him, that is a promise. And then in Proverbs 8:35, it says, for whoever finds me finds life and receives favor from the Lord. I want the favor of the Lord on my life. Like, that is a desire that we should all have, is to find favor with the Lord. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you. Like, there's so many amazing verses and promises and people in the Bible that received favor from God. And that is what I want. And so this is a podcast episode about wanting and desiring godly success in a healthy way, and just giving yourself permission to be empowered and be allowed to have dreams and to have goals and to have aspirations. Because I think sometimes we as Christians feel like we can't have that because it's evil. And I'm here to tell you that it is not evil. It is biblical to want to succeed and to want to prosper, and coming out of a place of like a good heart of like, God, if you bless me, I'm going to bless others. And that is something, we first have to give to be able to receive, and to sow to be able to reap. And I think if you're faithful with the little, you'll be faithful over much, just like the story of the talents. The one person buried it, the other person buried it, and then, I think invested a little bit of it. And then the last person invested it and grew and multiplied the money that he was given. And God goes, wow, like, you're faithful a little with a little, and I'm going to make you ruler over much. And so, right now I'm working through that and asking God to give me wisdom and grace on how to grow this podcast and be faithful with it. And also with the social media, and being okay with like, hey, I'm going to grow this thing and I want this to be successful. And with this podcast, like, I want this to be a place where women come to and they're like, I learn more about Jesus today. I fell more in love with Jesus. I'm not the same woman that I was before I listened to this podcast. And so, I'm not going to downplay this anymore. I'm going to be consistent with it. And I guess you're kind of my sounding board right now of my dedication, and my dream is to make this a very successful podcast for Christian women, that I'm reaching millions of women online to know the word of God and to know Jesus and to learn how to be a Christian woman in 2025 and beyond, and what that looks like. And so I just want to say thank you for listening to this episode. And I want to give you permission to go after your dreams, go after your goals wholeheartedly. There's a dream that God has put in your heart. I pray that it is so successful, that it is so prosperous, that whatever that is in your heart, that it comes to pass. And I'm standing in faith with you. And don't let anyone tell you that it's not possible, because we know that with God, all things are possible, that God gives us the strength to accomplish the goals and the things that he's put in our heart, and to continually lean on him. There's a great a great verse in the Bible. In Deuteronomy 8:18, it says, "Remember the Lord your God. He is the one who gives you the power to be successful in order to fulfill the covenant he confirmed to your ancestors with an oath." Which is so powerful because he is the one who makes us successful. He is the one who gives us the power. And he's saying to remember the Lord your God, because a lot of times, we've seen, people like Katy Perry and different, celebrities that grew up in the church, like Beyonce. They grew up in the church, they started worship music, and then they became super successful. And now they left the church, they've left God. Now they're serving, the enemy. And they forgot that the Lord is the one who made them successful. They forgot that the Lord is the one who blessed them with that beautiful voice, with that gift. And so for us on our journey to accomplishing our goals and to accomplishing our dreams, we cannot forget the Lord our God, because he's going to be with us every step of the way. And once we hit those goals, and once we, let's say you build a business and you're on Forbes magazine, like, are you going to say that God is the one who made you successful? Because that's all that matters. And so I pray today that God empowers you to fulfill the call he has given you, the dreams that he's put inside of your heart. But I challenge you right now, do not forget God. He is the one who's going to make you successful, not anyone else. And when you get to that achievement, that podium, to honor God and glorify him with everything that you do. So I want to say thank you for listening to today's episode. If you are not currently subscribed, make sure to subscribe. If you've never left a rate and review, greatly appreciate it. I want your feedback, and that helps get the show out to more viewers. Thank you, ladies, and see you next week.